Hey, what time is it? It's Podblast time! That's right, it's Podblast time. I'm flying solo today. Al Hardy is busy watching, he's entertaining some folks right now today, so I'm going to do a Mother's Day show. If you're listening on fistfulofradio.com, it's Mother's Day weekend. And if you're watching live, of course, next weekend is Mother's Day weekend. So we're going to celebrate moms in film and TV, good moms and bad moms, mostly good moms. And we have some suggestions for you for TV shows to watch and movies and some really cool songs and moms and books too. So thanks for tuning in. Well, before we get started, I want to just mention, everyone's going to be out hopefully big time this year because COVID, people are getting their vaccinations and whatnot. And there's going to be packed restaurants for Mother's Day, I assume. When you're out and about, especially if you're in Sandy Springs, be aware of something. When I went out for lunch Thursday, I went to a fantastic barbecue place. And this isn't their doing, but after I placed my order, I noticed there was, and for those that are listening on fistfulofradio.com, I'm holding this up for a camera on our YouTube channel, The Nostalgic Podblast, and in our Facebook group, The Nostalgic Podblast. But when I paid for my order, it seemed a little bit high, and so I looked at my receipt. I said, may I get a receipt? And the owner said, sure. And so he printed it out for me. There's a 5% COVID surcharge on the receipt. And I don't know what this is about, but I was taken aback by it. And it's not the money, because it was only 51 freaking cents. It's the principle. It's the principle of the thing. I don't understand why there's not a sign up explaining how Sandy Springs is enforcing a COVID surcharge. That's what the owner claimed when I talked with him about it. I said, hey, what's this COVID surcharge all about? He goes, Sandy Springs is making me do that. I don't know what that's for. I don't know if it's for sterilization or what, but I just found it a little disconcerting. So when you're out celebrating Mother's Day with your wives and moms, grandmoms, and the family, take a look at that receipt if you're in Sandy Springs, Georgia, or anywhere in the USA or the world for that matter. I don't know if this is a new phenomenon. I don't know how long this has been going on, but it just seems to me that someone would have complained by now. So it must be a new thing. So I just thought that was ridiculous. I want to give a shout out to Portal Pinball. I went there this week, and we'll get to the nostalgia portion of the show in just a sec. But I went there with my new buddy, Barry King of BK on the Air on WBHF in Cartersville, Georgia, and we played pinball. This place has retro video games, arcade games like Asteroids. I've got a case of Asteroids. No, just kidding. Pinball machines. It's a great place in the Kennesaw, Georgia area, right off of the Wade Green Road exit. Anyone familiar with that part of the metropolitan Atlanta, Georgia area? You get off the exit. If you're headed north on 75, take a left. Well, you've got navigation. You could figure out how to get there, but it's a really cool place. And I want them to succeed, and COVID hit them pretty hard. So it's a great place to go with kids or even adults, even dorks like me that want to just throw back to the times in the quarter arcade growing up playing Pac-Man and Pac-Man Fever. But let's see here. Everyone has a favorite mom on television and in movies, and I've got some that are not that well known. I mean, they're well known, but they're not talked about a lot. One of them is a movie called Mask. Not The Mask with Jim Carrey, but Mask. And it starred Eric Stoltz and Cher. And Cher, I think, was one of the best moms in movie history because Eric Stoltz's character had a disease. What was it called in the movie? It was lionitis. And it caused a really deformed face like the Elephant Man. And it was like an intense makeup job at the time. This movie came out back in 1985. And she really fought for her son. And her son's character had outlived the diagnosis that was normal for someone in that condition to live in the normal lifespan. But her character was just one of the most inspirational, devoted, dedicated moms to her needy child. And I think that was a good one. You never see it on a list. If you do a Google search of the best moms in TV or film, you never see the movie Mask. So let's trade off with a bad mom. And I've mentioned this in the Podblast before. I highly recommend the movie Psycho 4. And that came out, I think, in 1990. And it covers the origin of Norman Bates in terms of why he's so screwed up. And it all goes back to his mother. She dressed him up in a dress. There's all sorts of bizarre scenes. Anytime he got close to a woman, she intervened and screwed up the relationship. It was a really well written, well done movie for Showtime. So it was like a cable movie, but it was like an R rated movie because it was for cable television. But I thought it was really good. Not many people know about it or have seen it. And my friend Michael Hopkins introduced me to that film, and Al Hardy. We watched it in Al's spectacular home theater. He calls it Hardy Vision on the big screen. And that is a really wild movie. So that's one of the bad moms out there. Another good mom, of course, Mama Gump in Forrest Gump. I love that movie. I mean, a lot of people don't like it, and I don't understand folks that don't like Forrest Gump. I thought it was so well edited. I think it was released in 1994. Bob Zemeckis directed it, who had directed Who Framed Roger Rabbit and the Back to the Future movies. And I thought it was just so well done and heartfelt. And, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. I mean, so many iconic lines. I like this friend. I like the Bubba Shrimp. I just thought it was a really well done movie and a sad movie. And Sally Field played Mama Gump to a T. She's probably one of my favorite actors of all time. Sally Field, you can't say enough about her acting ability. I don't like every role she does, but man, I sure loved her in Smoking the Bandit as Frog as a kid. That was probably the first movie I saw her in before I discovered Gidget and The Flying Nun and her old 60s TV shows that she did. But I thought she was fantastic in Forrest Gump. How about Shirley Partridge, the Partridge Family? She got the family started in a band. That's kind of cool. That was kind of forward thinking for 1970, I think was when the Partridge Family hit the scene. Kind of a copy of the Brady Bunch, but I like the musical aspect and the fact that she's a real musician. And, of course, her son, Sean, he was a big, 1970s heartthrob. And then David Cassidy, along with his half-brother Sean Cassidy, he was a musician. I think he was one of the few that really played instruments on the Partridge Family because they used a studio band to sort of cheat the bands. Now, I'm going to have to do something here. It's tough doing this alone. It really is tough to do this by myself because I'm having to screen the calls. Not that I get any calls, or I get a few calls, but not that many calls. And usually it's people I know that are listeners of the show that I appreciate. But I'm doing the clips. I'm just doing it all, and it's a little difficult. So bear with me. And I wish the Wizard Al were here, but he had other things to do today. Got a clip for you. Another great TV mom was, of course, and this is a little cliche, but June Cleaver. Leave It to Beaver. I love that show. I really think Eddie Haskell stole the show. That was my favorite character. You look so nice today, Mrs. Cleaver. Oh, your hair looks gorgeous. Is that a new dress, Mrs. Cleaver? He was like just the eternal suck-up. I loved it. So here's just a few clips from Leave It to Beaver.
Wally asked that Haskell boy over. They're up in their room. I hope they don't pick on the beaver.
Eddie Haskell? Seems like a nice kid.
Is there anything we can do for them?
Gee, Mom, do I have to? I have a friend over.
What's your name?
Theodore, but my friends call me Beaver.
Well, may I call you Beaver? I'd like you to be my friend.
Okay. Don't give us that. We saw you. You were kissing her. Yeah, Beav. We saw you. I was not kissing her. She was.
Beaver! Come here, I want to talk to you.
Mr. Donaldson. He's gonna cut my hair off. Fooling? Yes. He came after me with the hedge clippers.
I know. Eddie, I'm afraid you're going to have to go home now. Beaver has to take a bath. And then, honey, I want you to put on your best suit.
Excuse me a minute. I'll be right back.
His father doesn't look like a beaver.
Thank you very much, Eddie.
Dad, could we each have $1?
Yeah, I guess so. Be sure and bring change back.
I guess it's okay that way. Sure, give him the money.
So that's not really focusing so much on June, but I just like those clips. It gives you the gist of the show. Hey, we have some Facebook comments. Oh my gosh, one of the best personalities, in my opinion, in Atlanta radio, Alan Sanders, is tuned in. Hey, just so happen to be renovating the next room on our house, appropriately enough, our movie room. So I've got you tuned in while ripping out carpet and padding. Thank you so much, Alan. And our good buddy Wesley Millsap says, hey, Chance, checking in from Ackworth. Well, I'm glad you're here. I thank you for tuning in. It means a lot. Thanks, guys. So now going on to the movies. How about Jo Beth Williams as Diane Freeling in Poltergeist? That was a dedicated mom, all right. My Lord. I mean, she went almost to the other side to get her daughter from the spirit world. But that is one of the best movies of all time. It always freaked me out, especially the scene where the guy peels his skin off and he's looking in the mirror. And now it looks kind of cheesy, but at the time it was a very traumatizing special effect by Tobe Hooper, the director. And Steven Spielberg had a big hand in that. And everybody knows about the curse of Poltergeist. The cast, they were plagued by all sorts of terrible things. My gosh, little Rourke, Heather O'Rourke, she got her start in Happy Days. She played Fonzie's girlfriend's kid for a while before Poltergeist. A lot of people think Poltergeist was the first thing Heather O'Rourke did. And of course, she passed away rather young. And then the actress who played her older sister in Poltergeist, Dominique Dunn, not to get dark, she was killed by like a psycho ex-boyfriend. She was strangled. Right when she started V, the original miniseries with the alien invasion of the lizard people, she was one of the main characters that they had to recast, and they filmed a lot of her scenes, and there's only one shot of Dominique Dunn that survives in V. I'm digressing here. Where you see the ship. It's her from behind. And the director, writer, producer, Kenneth Johnson, told me this story in person, that that's the only shot that survives. And he pointed it out to me. And you can tell the body's different. You know, it almost looks like a body double, like a bad body double, because she was a little bit shorter than the actress that was recast. So, moving on in the movies, here's another good one. Laura. Who's Laura? Lara, Laura. That's Superman's mom from Superman, the movie, and the comic books. Actually, Clark Kent had two moms. That's his Earth name, of course. Martha Kent was his mother on Earth, and I thought they were both really strong characters. An interesting point about Superman 2 was that at that time, Superman 1 was a tremendous hit, and Marlon Brando was paid well over $1 million to do 14 days of work in Pinewood Studios in England for both films, Superman 1 and 2, that were shot pretty much at the same time. And then the producers fired director Richard Donner because he was spending too much money, taking too much time, blah, blah, blah. So Superman 2 had to be massively recut. And one of the things that happened was Marlon Brando came back and demanded more money because when Superman the movie was a blockbuster, he got greedy and he wanted more money. So they said, Pierre Spengler and the Salkinds, Alexander and Ilya Salkind, the producers said, screw you. We're just going to shoot some scenes with Laura, Superman's mom, played by Susanna York, who is now deceased. God rest her soul. And, you know, she didn't have a huge part in Superman the movie because you just see her in the beginning and the opening shots of Krypton, the world that Kal-El Superman came from, before it's destroyed. Oh, I'm digressing, but I recommend the 3-hour cut of Superman the movie. It was recently released in the last couple years on DVD, I think 3 or 4 years ago, finally. And it was known as the KCOP cut because it's so long. It's 3 hours and 8 minutes long, and it restored great scenes with Marlon Brando and Christopher Reeve in the Fortress of Solitude, where like Marlon Brando's a hologram, and Superman is obviously 30 years old at this point, and he flies back to get advice from the crystals, right? So getting on to Superman 2 and Susanna York, when the Salkinds cut him out, they'd shot all these great scenes. If you recall, anyone that's a nerd like me that remembers Superman 2, he loses his powers. He sacrifices his Kryptonian heritage to be with Lois Lane, a human. He had to give up his powers because obviously, you know, relations might be a little tough between a Superman and a human female. So, long story short, here goes the crystals. He has to consult with his father about the facts of life. What should I do here? Well, all that was shot and scrapped, and they reshot it with Susanna York. And those scenes are fine, too, but I thought it was strange, you know, that I'm kind of a mama's boy myself, so I don't mean to be insulting. Nothing wrong with getting the facts of life from your mom. But I'm just saying it was more powerful with Marlon Brando as an actor because he's such a strong presence, even though he read off cue cards. Marlon Brando never liked to memorize. And he said, he goes, well, I want to be spontaneous. Well, really, I think he was lazy. So there would be cue cards all over the set. And so he would look like he was looking at the other actor or looking around the set, and really he was reading right off a cue card. Over $1 million to read a bunch of cue cards for 14 days. What a great job that is, or was for him. So I think Laura was a great mom in film, and she never makes the list. She never makes a list. How about Sarah Connor in Terminator 2? Another badass mom that really fought for her son's survival against the cyborg that was out to kill her. So, Alan Sanders' comment, Spielberg actually directed Poltergeist. Toby was the name director because of Hollywood rules, and Steven was also working on E.T. at the time. And that's right. I read that because of like union rules, he couldn't claim credit. And he was on the set supposedly every single day. Steven Spielberg was on the set of Poltergeist. That's a great point, Alan Sanders. Thank you. Oh, and he said, by the way, the hands pulling apart the face were Spielberg's. That was Steven Spielberg's hands that pulled the guy's face apart when he's looking in the mirror in Poltergeist in the scene I mentioned towards the top of the show. Another wonderful, pioneering TV mom was Caroline Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie. That's a very underrated show. In my opinion, a lot of people think it's overrated because it's never really left the airwaves. But in terms of me, in terms of being a geek, I discovered it rather late in life, even though there were key episodes I saw growing up, like one of the best ones was an episode called Bunny from season 3, where Laura Ingalls pushes Nellie, who had been faking that she was crippled, and she's in a wheelchair. And when Laura discovers she's been played by Nellie, she takes her to the top of the hill and throws her down the hill in a harrowing ride in that wheelchair. And then she lands in a pond. Oh, mother. And, another bad mom, Mrs. Olsen in Little House on the Prairie. What a witch she was. She was conniving, selfish, mean, even though the Ingalls were nice to her. There are episodes, I think, in season 2 where they went camping and she got her comeuppance when she got poison oak all over her face and all over her body. Little House, based on, of course, the real books by Laura Ingalls Wilder. That's just a great show. Lasted 9 seasons. I think the best episodes are the ones directed by Michael Landon. God rest his soul, left us way too young in 1991 of pancreatic cancer. So that's a good one, too. Let's see here. How about the Waltons? Olivia Walton played by, this is an interesting name, Michael Learned, who played Olivia Walton. But I like Grandma Walton, I think, the best. Ellen Corby played Grandma Walton, and I think she was just like a really sweet face. She did so many things before the Waltons, like the pilot of The Invaders, a Quinn Martin production with David Vincent fighting aliens. It only lasted 2 seasons, but she had a very notable role in that. And she was in The Fugitive, another QM production before that, an episode called The Sharp Edge of Chivalry. And anyway, she befriended, she played like a tenant, and David Jansen's character, Dr. Richard Kimball, was like a maintenance man. Anyway, I digress. So that's a great show. Sandra Bullock in The Blind Side is Leanne. That's mentioned a lot in the articles, and I concur. I think that was a very strong, good mom character. So let's see. Barry King is of BK on the Air, the co-host of Alan Sanders. I guess he's the star of BK in the Air, as it were, but he's commenting, and he left a nice piece on our Facebook group, The Nostalgic Podblast, about the Poltergeist directing fiasco. Was it Tobe Hooper or was it Steven Spielberg? So there's a nice piece there. If you have a chance, if you're listening on fistfulofradio.com, check it out. Let's see who's calling. Nostalgic Podblast, you're on the air. Who's this?
This is Michael Hopkins.
Hello, Michael. How you doing today?
I'm fine. I wanted to chime in on who I thought was a really good mother character.
Please do.
Well, I really think that Shirley Jones's character of Shirley Partridge was a very motherly character.
I mentioned her, but I didn't elaborate. Would you please elaborate?
I would. Shirley's reason for joining it, she was actually advised by the series. And actually, she had already turned down the role of Carol Brady before they went to Florence Henderson. They actually offered the role to her, but she didn't want to take it because she was told that you're committing career suicide as an actress because you've received an Oscar and it'll kill your career. And the Partridge Family role was appealing to her. She liked the fact that it was about a single mother trying to raise a family, and singing was involved. And she decided she wanted to spend more time with her three children that she had with actor Jack Cassidy. So she wanted to be at home at the end of every day. So she went ahead and accepted the role, and she laughed, and she said, you know, they were right. It did kill my movie career, but I don't care. I got to spend time with my family. So there was motherly overtones in the reason that she accepted the role as well.
Wow, I think she made the wise choice. I wouldn't have liked her in the Brady Bunch. That's one of mine on my list, of course, is Florence Henderson as Carol Brady. I think, the casting gods got it right.
Yeah, it was just meant to be that she was in the role that she finally accepted, and then Florence Henderson got to be in that role. And if I remember correctly, I think Joyce Bulifant was originally going to be in the Carol Brady role, and then at the last minute, Sherwood Schwartz decided to insert Florence Henderson.
Well, Florence could sing. I mean, she was multi-talented. And there were episodes like the Christmas one, season 1 of Brady Bunch, where she showed off her talent. But, of course, Shirley Jones could sing, too. Was that really her singing, though? School me on that.
Absolutely was. This was active because, of course, they used a lot of background studio singers. In the beginning, when David Cassidy auditioned for that role, she knew he could sing. They didn't. She kind of didn't tell the producers that he could. And then they realized what they had. Well, they had already started to record some tracks from their studio singers, and they thought all along, oh, well, they're just going to lip sync. It's just going to be a fake creation. And then when they realized what they had with David Cassidy's true talent, they actually included some of the recorded songs that didn't have David singing at all on the very first Partridge Family album, because as you know, they had success. They had several releases throughout the series of actual records. And Shirley absolutely did. They mixed her down. She wasn't as strong of a voice, but she was definitely actually truly singing on those albums.
Well, that's good to know. So she's one of the true musical talents, because they had ghost people that were doing a lot of the instruments, as you know.
Yeah, they did. Well, they actually had top talent with that show. They had Hal Blaine on the drums, and that was a well-respected name. Larry Carlton on electric guitar. But then, David could actually play the guitar and the electric guitar. And to be honest, I don't know whether or not, I assume at some point, because he recorded some solo albums, I'm sure at some point he got to participate in some of the instrumentation. But he definitely, once they caught on that he could sing, that single, I Think I Love You, got released and shot up to number 1. Before the show actually hit the air, it got released.
Dang.
So, yeah, it was an unexpected surprise for all of them.
Well,
But,
good.
yeah, to me, Shirley Jones is just one of those treasures, and she's still alive, and as far as I know, she's still healthy.
That's good.
I watched a reunion a couple of months ago. They had an anniversary, and they got all the available Partridge, with the exception of Susan Day. Susan doesn't really participate in the reunions, but
Ooh, Susan Day, she has aged so gracefully and naturally. No plastic surgery for her. She looks lovely to this day. And do you remember that movie she did, Looker? 1981, I believe.
She did something called First Love. Actually, I think that was her first movie that she did. They taped when they tried to have a reunion. ABC did a reunion a few years after the show went off. I think around '77, and they videotaped a statement from her, and she was on the set of it was called First Love. I don't remember seeing the movie, but she taped the statement from that set from that movie.
Very cool. Who else do you have on your list? Oh, by the way, about Shirley Jones, I liked her better with longer hair. You know, like in Meet Me in St. Louis, that movie. Anyway, that's just me.
But by the time the late '60s and '70s rolled around, I guess it was just easier for her to have the short hair. By then, she was raising 3 sons, and I guess it was just one of those things. She just figured it was easier to manage it with shorter hair.
Okay, well, cool.
Well, June Lockhart comes to mind.
Oh, she's on my list. Yep.
And
well, let's for the layman out there. June Lockhart was the original mom in Lassie, and she was in the great show that I love, Lost in Space, as Maureen Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, she's just a motherly kind of person, and as do I, because we're Facebook friends with Bill Mumy, who was her TV son on Lost in Space. He keeps in touch with her. She, I think, is kind of a mother figure to him, and he keeps us informed from time to time and shoots a picture out on Facebook of her.
And you got it right. It's Bill Mumy, not Bill Mummy. It irritates me when radio personalities refer to him as Bill Mummy. Anyway, no, it's Mumy.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's gotten that all his life.
It's understandable, though, the way it's spelled, but no, it's 2 M's is Mummy, okay? 1 M, that's Mumy. Anyway, enough said. It's not a big deal.
But I can't really think of any other
okay.
mothers, because I don't want to steal all of them. I know you have a list of them.
That's cool. Well, listen, I appreciate you calling in, Michael. It means a lot, and I hope you have a great day. Get out there. I'm walking today. As we do this live, it's just gorgeous outside. Great day to get out and about.
Take care.
Okay, thanks, Michael.
Bye.
Michael Hopkins. So, getting back to the list, yes, June Lockhart and Lost in Space. That was a silly show. It started very seriously, though, like in 1965 when it debuted. Irwin Allen directed the original pilot. There was no robot, no Dr. Smith. It was just the family. It was just like the books, Swiss Family Robinson. And she did a fantastic job. There were some really touching scenes with her and the kids, with Angela Cartwright as Penny, and who had been in The Sound of Music. So she had a special credit. She was the only one that really mentioned her character name, and Angela Cartwright as Penny. The rest just had the name of the actors, except for Jonathan Harris, the special guest star, a strange credit that he demanded. And that credit came back with Heather Locklear on Melrose Place. Special guest star, Heather Locklear as Amanda. Anyway, I digress. So, getting back to my list, Madge Simpson. I have some animated moms we'll get to, but I just got to go ahead and jump ahead. I love The Simpsons. Can you believe it's been on since 1989 in prime time? I mean, what a great run. And the voice of Bart Simpson, of course, was Cartwright, Nancy Cartwright. And she had been in Twilight Zone, the movie. If you remember, they remade the classic episode with Anthony with the powers. In Twilight Zone, the movie from 1983, they had 4 reenacted Twilight Zone plots. And one of them was It's a Good Life. And that was the episode that Bill Mumy starred in as Anthony Fremont, a kid with powers to take someone's face away or make him disappear into the cornfield when he got ticked off. And in the movie reenactment, he had a cameo, but Nancy Cartwright played his sister, one of his sisters. The other sister, he took her mouth away, and she's just sitting there watching TV, and you see these eyes. It was a real creepy scene. And I think Tobe Hooper directed that segment as well, if I'm not mistaken. Steven Spielberg directed Kick the Can, which was kind of like Cocoon before there was Cocoon. Cocoon came out in 89, I think. Yes, and Twilight Zone the movie in 83. And, of course, Vic Morrow, God, the poor guy was beheaded in a scene. in the scene he was saving, he was a terrible racist that had a change of heart at the end, and you didn't really see the change of heart because the scene was cut. Director John Landis allegedly didn't take enough safety precautions, and there was a big dramatic scene with a helicopter, and Vic Morrow's character saves two little Vietnamese kids, and the explosion went off prematurely, and this was in court for years. John Landis was personally sued, and the studio was sued, and I think Warner Brothers distributed that one, yes. And it was a terrible thing, and the kids were killed too. So Vic Morrow, and I didn't know Vic Morrow's daughter, you know, that I didn't know till recently, Jennifer Jason Lee from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Not crazy? So let's talk about a bad mom, and then we'll get back to the good moms. How about Joan Crawford and Mommy Dearest? Bring me the axe. Oh man, that was a powerful movie based on the book by her daughter, her adopted daughter, Christina. You know, I don't know if it was BS. You know, I don't know what's true and what's not. Only God and those women know the truth. But that was one of my favorites. It's just so kind of trashy and dramatic and over the top. Faye Dunaway just did a phenomenal job as Joan Crawford in that movie. And just so many iconic lines. No more, I won't yell into the mic. You know the scene. No more wire hangers ever. No more wire hangers ever. And I saw that movie at the Fox Theater. They had a double bill as Joan Crawford night, and they played The Women, the original black and white movie The Women, starring Joan Crawford, and then Mommy Dearest. And I didn't know there was such a huge gay following for Joan Crawford until I went to that event. And that's cool. You know, believe me, I'm not bashing anything. Don't misunderstand. But I was just shocked. I looked around and I felt like I was the only straight person there, and everyone was having a good time. And I just looked to my date. I looked to Samantha, and I was like, wow, this is interesting. I didn't know. So the things you learn as you get older, you know, that's a good thing about getting older. Hopefully you get wiser, right? So, going on with the list, I got a few songs that I like Kanye West's Hey Mama. Oh, before I go there, that made me think of one of my favorite mamas on TV. Mabel King as Mama Thomas. Mama Thomas on What's Happening. And I loved it when she would hug her son Raj so tight. And she was a pretty, I won't say obese, but I guess I just did. She was a very heavy woman. And so the joke was he couldn't breathe. And I have a clip from What's Happening. Very brief. Listen to this.
And you know something else? I don't know why I can't stay mad at you. Because I'm really a wonderful person. Mama? Yeah, baby. I can't breathe.
Always got a big laugh. Always got a big laugh. And I know with things in the news, you know, that line could mean a whole bunch of different things. But look, we're talking about nostalgia here, and I love that joke, and I love little Dee. Dee, his little sister who loved peanut butter. Oh, boy, I just love What's Happening. That's one of my favorite shows. How about the episode where Rerun snuck in a tape recorder to a Doobie Brothers concert, and it falls out right in the front row in front of the band, and it stops the show. It stopped the show. That was a funny bit. I love that. I think it was a two-parter. Yeah, it was. And that reminded me of a true story. I had an incident with Paul McCartney where he got pissed off at me. This is a true story. August 2009 at Piedmont Park in the Atlanta, Georgia area in Midtown. I was there with Samantha Livingston, and we were enjoying the concert, like fourth row. It was an outdoor concert. And he performed Live and Let Die. And I still have this on tape. And I had brought a camcorder. This is right around when the iPhone was hitting the scene, right? And people had an iPhone like 1, you know, recording. But there was a policy right on the ticket, no recording, no video. And I violated that. So I had like a little small handheld Sony camcorder, and he spotted me. And right at the end of Live and Let Die, there were all these pyrotechnics, and I'm videotaping it. He points to me, Paul McCartney, and goes, no, 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 with his finger. And then these goons came out. This is an absolute true story, and pulled me on the stage. It stopped the show, literally. Now, Samantha thinks, because I had said, because of the pyrotechnics, I had said, wow, I thought a bomb was going off. Boy, that's a buzzword. You know, you don't want to say that in a public event. And maybe that was it. I don't know. I don't think it was, because Paul McCartney on the Jumbotron points right at me, no, no, no. And then he gets these guys to come out, and they pulled me up. It was like make a wish with a wishbone. I have two big, and it turned out they were Russian guys on each arm, and they pulled me up. And I had hidden, this is no insult to my manhood, but I had hidden the camera down my pants. When I noticed some people were coming my way, I sucked in my gut and I put the camera down. And so when they pulled me up on the stage, they took me off to the side, and the show is still stopped. Okay. This is about 5 minutes after the end of Live and Let Die. And they go, give us the camera. We stole the camera. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I pulled out a digital camera and I tricked them. I said, well, this is a digital camera. It does shoot video, but I was taking pictures. And they go, give us the disc. And so I gave them the disc, and I'm still sucking in my gut. And luckily they didn't pat me down and find the camera. And I still have that video footage. I need to convert that digitally because it was on a micro tape. Anyway, I digress, but what a funny memory. So getting back to the list, I'm going to talk about, I was waiting for our friend Barry, who may call in, to talk about this one, but I'll go ahead because I'm a nerd. Star Trek, Spock's mom. Let's talk about Amanda, who was a human who married a Vulcan. That's why Spock is half human and half Vulcan. And I thought, now she had been in Father Knows Best. Jane Wyatt is the actor, and she did a great job in that show. But I really liked her. Even if you're not a nerd or into science fiction, I think you'd like her character. Watch the episode Journey to Babel, season 2 of Star Trek. It's on Paramount Plus right now. All the Star Trek episodes are on there. But it's a really good episode, and it's the first one with Spock's parents. And she came back in Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, some of the movies. Same actor, Jane Wyatt. But she had some really touching scenes. And I think Spock was an analogy for someone basically with autism, the way he interacted with human beings, and he didn't understand the concept of humor. He was a little lost. He was a brilliant man. Okay, he was a brilliant person, of course, a brilliant scientist, a brilliant first officer. But he was square when it came to humanity, and he was just like a lost child. And I liked how Amanda had heart-to-heart talks with him. And, of course, Spock was trained to be unemotional, as are all the Vulcans, because in the storyline, there was an archaic period where they were killing each other with violent emotion. They got so mad at each other, like the Vulcans were killing off each other in war. And so they adopted a philosophy to hide your emotions, do not get emotional, don't go there. And so the character of Spock always struggled, and his mom helped him have a counterbalance between humanity and being a Vulcan, and helped him understand the aspects about humanity that eluded him. And I thought she just did a fantastic job. But watch that episode, Journey to Babel. There's a really touching scene. She slaps him across the face, her son Spock. And it's a powerful scene. It transcends science fiction. I thought it was just good drama. Anyway, so I think she should be on my list. Or, I mean, she is on my list, and she should be on more lists you see on Google about best moms. So we talked about June Cleaver, Jane Wyatt, Dr. Maureen Robinson from Lost in Space. Let's see here. Oh, I forgot to talk about Hey Mama. I love the song by Kanye West, Hey Mama, and that was dedicated to his mom who had passed away. And a couple of lyrics I have here. Let's see. Well, I love the part where he's like, in the line where he talks about chicken soup, and goes, you made some chicken soup. Can I have another bowl? I love that. It was really heartfelt, and a lot of people don't like Kanye West. I think he's a brilliant artist, and I really like that song, and I felt sorry for him. Here we go. Here's some of the lyrics. Here's some of the lyrics to Hey Mama by Kanye West. I want to scream so loud for you because I'm so proud of you. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. Hey Mama. I know I act a fool, but I promise you, I'm going back to school. I appreciate what you allowed for me. I just want you to be proud of me. Hey, Mama, I want to tell the whole world about a friend of mine. This little light of mine, I'm finna let it shine. I'm finna take y'all back to them better times. I'm finna, and it says Finna, I'm not being an ass. I'm finna talk about my mama, if y'all don't mind. I was 3 years old when you and I moved Got a call. Maybe it's divine intervention, but I love that song. The Nostalgic Podblast. Who are you and where are you calling from?
BK on the air, calling from Planet Earth.
Planet Earth, Barry King, host of BK on the Air on WBHF with your co-host Alan Sanders. What's happening?
Nothing much. You were talking about Mother's Day. Next weekend is Mother's Day, and I've heard some of the show on and off, and I didn't know. I had a few. We talked about them last year, I think, on Mother's Day. Alan and I matched, I think, on our number one favorite mom, but I got maybe some bad ones and good ones here for you, and a couple of one good mother's song and one bad mother's song too. So
I would love to hear it.
some of our honorable mention for mother. How about the alien queen in Aliens? Man, did she love her little kids?
Yeah, she fought the humans to the death to defend her babies.
That's right. And since Disney, I guess, is in control of 20th Century Fox now, does that make her a Disney queen or Disney princess?
I didn't think about that. I always think about everything that Disney absorbed, including MASH, the Planet of the Apes series of movies and TV show, the short-lived TV show, 13 episodes, and Alien and Aliens. I forgot about that one. Even Room 222 is now Disney. That's a Fox show. Lost in Space.
The Queen is a great mother. And also, we'll go the science fiction route as well on television. The Horta from Star Trek Devil in the Dark was a fine mother, too.
Yes, it was. People won't know, but if you know Star Trek, Devil in the Dark is from season 1, and it was like, basically, it was a creature that was based in silicone, and it could burn up humans to the touch unintentionally, and so it was killing all the red shirts. The Star Trek security guys that wore a red shirt, that's the joke. You got red shirted. When you wore a red shirt, you were dead on Star Trek. And so the Horta was defending these. They didn't know they were killing her eggs. It was like these round cylindrical, like a big giant bowling ball, basically. And they didn't know they were her eggs.
Yeah, silicone nodules is what they call them on the show. Yeah.
That's right.
But they were her eggs. Now, regular human moms on TV, I think a really great one was Olivia Walton on the Waltons. You always wanted a mom like her or like Mrs. Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie. They're two very great moms from a TV period pieces.
See, we're in sync. I mentioned them earlier. We're of the same mind. You, me, and Alan.
My number one favorite mom, I think Alan Sanders will agree with me on this one. I think our favorite mom on television wound up being Mrs. C, Mrs. Cunningham on the Happy Days. You can't really get a better mom than Mrs. C.
That's a good one. On my list, not my number one, but please continue about Mrs. C. She was great.
Marion Ross. I mean, she was great. She's really the only one that could slap Fonzie down when he was acting up and doing his bit. She called Fonzie out, and he would actually back down and defer to her, Mrs. C, on the show.
That's right. I know. That was cool, wasn't it? She'd go, Arthur, sit on it. And he would.
That's a whole nother story. But, yeah, two mom songs. You're talking about songs, too. I think one of the worst mom songs is a great song, but if you listen to the lyrics of it, it's a horrible mother because she's so overbearing in the song. She's almost like Norman Bates' mom in Psycho. The song Mother by Pink Floyd. Have you ever really listened to the lyrics to that song?
Yeah. Good call, brother.
From the Wall. Yeah. I mean, the whole kid's asking for approval of his mom, and she won't let him fly and won't let him do anything. She wants to keep him home all the time for the rest of his life. It's a great song, but it's a song about a terrible, overbearing mother, though. It really is. Now, my favorite song of all time, I'm going to go way back. If you listen to this song about mothers, or one mother in particular, it's from the year 1910, and it's the old Irish standard song Mother McCree. If you could ever go back or play that song and listen to it and listen to the lyrics to Mother McCree, it's just a great song about a mom, and it's from way back in 1910. Used in a few movies and a Broadway play, too, if I'm not mistaken, but the old Irish song Mother McCree.
That's a good one. I've never heard it.
You are doing fantastic flying solo, buddy. Sounds great.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. One of my favorite songs about moms would have to be Let It Be by the Beatles. I consider that a mom song.
It is. It doesn't really necessarily have to say mom in the title, does it? But you're right. That is a good mom song. There's so many of them.
Mother Mary comforts me. Seeking words of wisdom, let it be. And I like You Raise Me Up by Josh Groban. He was on American Idol, and now, of course, he's a big star. And then Carrie Underwood had a good song, Mama's Song, that I liked. Anyway.
Yeah, and then you could change gears. I mean, we're talking about moms on Mother's Day, but they wrote songs about your romantic better half, and usually called her Mama, M-A-M-A, or Mama. She's a bad Mama Jamma and all that stuff. So we could go that route maybe on
She's a bad Mama
your
Jamma.
anniversary or something like that with your significant other. Yeah.
And isn't it funny when you would see like an older couple, like grandparents typically, like really old, like elderly people, the husband calls the wife mother at some point, mother, what do you want to watch tonight on TV, Isn't that strange?
That was an old thing, wasn't it? And you mentioned Leave It to Beaver earlier. Something else I've noticed too, like that, and you just brought up, moms and dads on television back in the older days, they sometimes looked more like grandparents than parents.
Yes.
So weird.
I think it's weird when we look at our yearbooks. Like, I thought we looked, when you look at, I don't know how it is with your yearbook. When I look at old yearbooks, I don't think we look all that old. I mean, when we were kids, but I mean, like the way kids look now and the way we look when we were kids, there's like a discrepancy. It's hard to explain. Anyway, but.
It is, and you can see even older yearbooks with our parents and our grandparents, they look different too. And maybe it is just we're looking at it through generational lenses, I guess is the thing.
Right. Another quick song. I liked A Song for Mama by Boys to Men. There's a lot of them. There are a lot of good songs. There's a good one by Taylor Swift. Anyway, enough about the songs, but there's several good songs about mom. And if you're listening on fistfulofradio.com, of course, it is Mother's Day weekend. So take care of your mom. Do something nice. Hopefully you're getting out and about as this pandemic winds down. And, at the top of the show, Barry, I mentioned I went to a restaurant. I think I told you this offline, where they charged a COVID surcharge, 5% of the total bill in Sandy Springs, and the owner said that Sandy Springs government's imposing that. How crazy is that?
That is crazy, and they didn't really have it up front for you to see, like on a sign or anything, did you?
Nope. No, and that was my beef. It wasn't the money, the 51 lousy cents. It's the principle. And so I hope, huh?
Yeah, it is the principle, and I wouldn't, and like you didn't blame the restaurant owner. It's just the government. They're making them do it. It's the government's fault doing that. Yeah.
That's right. And so watch your bill, folks. If you're out in a restaurant, pay close attention, especially if you're in Sandy Springs, Georgia, or anywhere. This must be a new thing because surely someone would have complained to the media or Harry Samlin, the pothole guy in WGCL, CBS Atlanta. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. He's great about finding potholes around town and getting results. So have to get someone on that.
Well, that's good. I know this is going to be airing Mother's Day weekend, and happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. And I'll be going to see my mom on the day before Mother's Day when I get off the air next Saturday. So, yeah, it's going to be a great Mother's Day. I don't see her as often as I do, but I'm going to remedy that. And I'm going to take her out to dinner and have a good time and reminisce with Mom on Mother's Day. Yes, sir.
That's great. Does she live in Georgia?
No, she lives one state over in the great state of Alabama.
Bama. Are you an Auburn? I know you're not a big sports guy, but are you a War Eagle or do you like Bama? Or do you not care either way?
I'm not a sports fan at all, but I have to be an Alabama Crimson Tide fan because most of my family is, and my dad, God rest his soul, no longer with us. I have to continue the cheering for Alabama Crimson Tide in his memory. So that's why I do it.
Very good, very good. Cool, man. Well, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, and check that bill at the restaurant very carefully if you're in Sandy Springs.
Thanks, buddy. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. Loving the show.
All right, thank you. And remember, if you're listening Fistful, BK on the Air airs right after us at 5 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday, and at 8:30 in the morning before us on Saturday and Sunday.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. And what a great time we had at Portal Pinball last week. Pinball and arcade games, classic games up in Kennesaw.
Right on. I mentioned that at the top of the show. That was a blast, and we got to do that again.
We'll do it again. I promise.
All right, my brother.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, thanks. So one quick thing about Portal Pinball, there's a cool baseball game that your son and you could play. It's a lot of fun. It dispenses real vintage 1988 Topps baseball cards. And it's called Slugfest. It's not a pinball game, but it looks like one. And it's fun because you can control the pitches, a changeup, fastball, curveball, even a knuckleball, I think. And then there's a button to bat where you swing. and there's like a heckler in the anyway. Describing it doesn't do it justice. It's really a great old game from like 1990. But I like that Portal Pinball has a mint condition game of Slugfest that distributes real baseball cards. And I got a Barry Bonds 1988 Future Stars of the Pittsburgh Pirates card, and it actually has a little bit of value. So that was kind of cool. So, getting back to our list, a bad mom. How about Ma Parker, the gangster? Right? Remember Batman? I think Shelley Winter, the actress, played Ma Parker in the 1960s Adam West Batman. That was a bad mom. And there was a movie, Big Bad Mama, starring William Shatner and Angie Dickinson from 1974. It was a terrible R-rated movie, but that had a bad mom in it. But I would say the queen of bad moms, if you believe it, as I mentioned earlier, is Joan Crawford, at least the version played by Faye Dunaway in Mommy Dearest. And then Norma Bates from Psycho 4. Let's see. Cartoon moms. Bambi. Oh, doesn't that movie touch your heart? I can't even watch it. I love the mom in Bambi. And the sad ending, no spoilers, even though it's been out for damn 40 years, but or plus. I just love, that's probably one of my favorite animated moms. And so was Charlotte from Charlotte's Web, the original version, the animated film from TV movie from 1973. And you know who played or did the voice of the Charlotte Spider? That was Debbie Reynolds, who is Carrie Fisher's mom in real life, and God rest both their souls. But Debbie Reynolds, great actress. She voiced Charlotte in Charlotte's Web. Back to TV, another great mom. It's almost like a tie, but I'm more of an Addams Family guy than a Munsters guy. But how about Morticia Addams? That was a great mom that let Pugsley and Wednesday just be. That's the way my real mom is. She just lets you be, and that's the best kind of mom. That's not micromanaging and controlling, and just lets you be creative and do your own thing. And that's the way Morticia was. You know, of course, they were kind of they had tunnel vision on what they thought was normal versus abnormal. That was the shtick. That was the joke. And of course, it was based on, was it the Saturday Evening Post? It was, the Addams Family was originally based on a cartoon series in, I want to say Saturday Evening Post. I'm probably wrong. Somebody call or comment. And Wesley, yeah, he verified Harry, Better Call Harry Samler. I like him. And like I said before, he gets results. If you see a pothole, I don't know if he still does the pothole patrol, but it was a great segment, and they would just correct. In Atlanta, Georgia, I don't know where you're listening or watching, but we have terrible roads in the city, in Midtown and downtown. Typically, the suburbs are better, but downtown is a disgrace, considering all the tax dollars from it's a very affluent area in Midtown Atlanta. Peachtree and around but the road around the governor's mansion on Paces Ferry is a joke. It's all tore up, and they have patchwork, and it astounds me how inefficient Fulton County government is when it comes to water main leaks and potholes. It's a disgrace is what it is. So, but I digress. We're a happy nostalgia show. Getting back to mom, since it is Mother's Day weekend on fistfulofradio.com. How about Donna Reed? I like Donna Reed, and It's a Wonderful Life, and of course the Donna Reed Show. I thought she did a great job. She was kind of like a mom that you could relate to. She was like an every mom, her character on the Donna Reed Show. And I thought that was a really, really good old show. And it was around airing before my time, but I watched MeTV a lot. I've always liked older shows and black and white shows. And today's kids, if a movie or TV show is in black and white, they won't watch it. Kind of like me with silent films, and that's very narrow-minded of me. There's Chaplin and Buster Keaton. There's a lot of good silent material, and I do watch it. I have believe it or not, I have a laser disc of the best of Buster Keaton, and there's some great, great routines that were silent. But, I will watch black and white, and that's how I discovered a lot of these shows that were before my time, was through MeTV, which is on in the Atlanta area, and it's a sub-channel of CW. So let's see here if I missed anyone. Let's see. I think I'm about out of, unless somebody wants to comment, I don't think I have anyone else on my list that was notable as a great mom. Those are my favorites. Mentioned Madge Simpson. Let's see here. Oh, Peggy Hill, King of the Hill. That was a good one. Oh man, I love King of the Hill. I've got most of them on DVD that I collected over the years, but what a great comedy show. I think I like it better than The Simpsons, to be honest with you. I wish it were still on the air. Mike Judge, what a talent he is. Started, of course, I guess his big break was SNL shorts. And did he do the ambiguously gay duo? I think he did. But I liked those, and I liked his SNL stuff, and, of course, Beavis and Butthead. Who could forget that? But King of the Hill, Peggy Hill, oh, Kathy, I can't pronounce her last name, from Sister Act, voices that character. And it's just the best. But the best character in King of the Hill, of course, is Bobby Hill, the ambiguously strange Bobby Hill. You don't know which direction he's going to go. You don't know what he's going to do. I love the one where Bobby Hill does some stand-up comedy, and the one where he has to eat a big steak. You know what I'm talking about? To win like a free meal. He's like pushing himself. You know, most people would be athletes. You know, they try to, win at the high jump or win at a relay race. But no, Bobby Hill, his claim to athleticism was eating a big steak. You know, I thought that was funny in King of the Hill. Another good one from Wesley. How about Gloria Henry as Alice Wilson on Dennis the Menace? Good call, Dennis the Menace. And I liked the latter Mr. Wilson. There were two actors that played Mr. Wilson, and I liked the one who also was on the Lucy show as Mr. Mooney. Oh, I can't remember his name, but I liked him as Mr. Wilson. But Dennis the Menace, that's a great comic book and series that I love. But getting back to Spock and this is my analogy when I say I think it was like an autism analogy, how Spock could not relate to humor and certain human concepts. It was like the Incredible Hulk, I think, was an analogy for alcoholism. You know, when David Banner would transform, and especially when he was coming down from being the Hulk, he was like hungover. You know, he's like, I mean, he'd look like he was hungover. Like there was an episode in season 1 where he's in Las Vegas and the cop sees him in an alleyway and his shirt's ripped. I like the early ones where his shirt would still stay on. Later, they just, the whole shirt came off. But I liked it where, his like jean jacket shirt was ripped. It was just a cool effect. And his pants were all torn up. And this cop drives up to him and he's just almost back to normal. His eyes are still a little green or white or whatever, the contact lenses. And the cop's like, I'm going to be back here in an hour. You better not be when I get back. Oh, your ass is going to jail. He didn't say you're going to jail, but he said, I remember that. I don't know. That scene just stuck out to me. And there was another great Incredible Hulk that dealt with child abuse. And that was shot in season 1, but the network withheld it until season 2. It's called A Child in Need. And that was a very great episode that dealt with that hard-hitting issue of child abuse. Ooh, I just thought of something. I mean, God, I don't think any of these moms that I've listed hit their kids on film or TV, but what a terrible thing. I know there have been movies that dealt with that. Oh, Please Don't Hit Me, Mom, an after-school special starring Patty Duke. Oh, my Lord, I think I have it right over here on video for the camera. Jeez. That was a good after-school special, Please Don't Hit Me, Mom, that dealt with the sensitive subject of child abuse. If I were with the wizard Al Hardy, he could sort of stall while I get the video. I wanted to show you the case. I think I have it right here. Look behind me. These are all videotapes. I still have videotapes, and now hipsters are collecting videotapes. These things are actually gaining a little bit of value. This is one of my collectibles rooms, so I have all sorts of strange things in here. I'm not going to find it. Darn it. I thought I had it right on the shelf. Well, anyway, I'm going to just give a quick virtual tour as we wind down our show today. See this monitor behind me? Where is it? Right here. The reason that's there, and I don't still play these Atari 2600 and 5200 games, but I still have all the old games I had when I was a little kid and a teenager. The Activision, the Pitfall. Long story short, I have an Atari 5200 and an Atari 2600. And my grandma on my dad's side, Grandma Bartels, gave me a cool gift one year, and it was a converter. It was a 2600 to 5200 converter, meaning you put this doohickey in the Atari 5200, and on top of that, you would put the 2600 cartridge, and it would convert it. So you had the best of both worlds. And I like to use this old school non-HD monitor, which was my TV in the dorm room first year of college. when I was at Marshall University, and it still works. And I remember getting it at Circuit City with my dad, and it was a floor model, no box, but a great deal. And so it still works, and I prefer to play. And I don't play them that often, I don't play those old games, but everything works. I have the trackball for Centipede and Missile Command that my friend Ryan Settles, who is a frequent guest host of the Nostalgic Podblast, he gave me that, and it still works. Got all the joysticks. That's what she said. And I have let's see, the Activision games. Yeah, anyway, I just have everything and it works, and I love to occasionally, rarely, like maybe once a year or something, I'll play on that very monitor. So let me see if there's any other. Bewitched, and Wesley commented again, Bewitched. Good Mother, Elizabeth Montgomery, Samantha. How about Endora, though? Endora was a good one. I agree, Wesley, and she was so lovely, Liz Montgomery. And I'm digressing, but I love a Twilight Zone episode she did with Charles Bronson called Two from season 3, where she played like ostensibly a Russian, squaring off after some sort of big war against the American played by Charles Bronson. She had dark hair. Anyway, Endora, she was so protective of her mom that she refused to acknowledge the human last name of her son-in-law. Or no, the first name, Darren. She called him Donald or Dennis, or, that was the running joke. It got stale by season 8, but she would never get his name right. One time she did. When Tabitha was born in season 2, she actually, I'm getting choked up. It was so sweet. She actually said Darren, and they had a cry together when Tabitha was born. Originally spelled differently, spelled Tabatha. Bath, like taking a bath. Tabitha, like taking a bath. They changed it in season 2, I don't know why, to Tabitha with an I. And twins played Tabitha, Erin Murphy and her sister. And the only one you really see is Erin and Diane Murphy. Those were the twin girls. And they weren't identical. They were fraternal. So as they aged, they looked different. And eventually Diane took a back seat. And then you had Erin Murphy take over the role as Tabitha aged. And that was a great call from Wesley. And I mentioned, when we were talking about Susan Day from the Partridge Family, I did mention a movie called Looker. While it's on my mind, that was a really cool movie. I think Albert Finney starred in it. It was from 1981, and Susan Day was in it, and she took her top off. Susan Day was naked in that movie. It was before L.A. Law, and I loved L.A. Law too. That's the thing about this show is we digress, whether it's me or Al Hardy or Tom, we digress. And I'm always the one doing the digressing more than anybody, because I just want to share all this with you guys. I should do a blog. I think I'm going to do a blog, because I think it's more efficient where you can read these factoids and things in some sort of cohesive order as opposed to hearing it. But nothing wrong with that. And I'll keep doing the show. But I think I'm going to start doing a blog for what it's worth. Not that I think I'm such a great writer or anything like that. No hubris intended. But I think I'll do that. So, lol. Don't have really any more clips today. I just want to make sure I didn't leave anyone out. Oh, Endora. Well, I've covered Endora, but I just think Endora, was actually... Well, nothing wrong with Samantha Stevens as a mom, her character, but I thought Endora might have been a little too overprotective, and she was a bit, I won't say she's racist, but she didn't like that her daughter married an ordinary mortal instead of a warlock, which is the name of a male witch, a warlock. And she made that known right from the get-go. And Agnes Moorehead really played that role well. And little known fact, well, I don't know if I want to go there, a family show. Now check some Facebook comments. Oh, another good one. Jean Stapleton as, should we say what Archie called her? Yeah, Edith Bunker, the dingbat. That's a good mom. But she sort of kowtowed to Archie, but she did stand up to him a couple times. It was always so powerful when Edith Bunker told Archie off and said, "No, this isn't right." You shut up. terrible impression, but she, that's a good one, and I liked. Oh, the single mom. My gosh, Wesley, you are on it today, sir. Wesley Millsap mentioned a good one that I left off my list. Linda Lavin as Alice Hyatt on Alice, a widow. Her husband was killed. He's a truck driver, and he was killed, and she was left alone with Tommy. And the original Tommy from the pilot was recast. There was a totally different kid, the kid from the movie. Alice doesn't live here anymore. I love Alice. It was based on that movie, and Diane Ladd was in it as Flo, right? And then she went on to replace Flo, right? That was strange. I hope I have my facts right on that. Yeah, she played Flo in the movie, and it was like one of the only actors and the original Tommy. Later, Philip McKeon, who recently passed away, God rest his soul, sister of Nancy McKeon from The Facts of Life as Joe. But Philip McKeon played Tommy when it got picked up as a series. And I love the episode, Wesley, with Alice's husband's mother, played by Eileen Heckart. It was a two-parter, and she was a hard woman, and she just would not let go of her son, and she treated Alice despicably. And then finally Alice stood up for herself, told that witch off, and it was a great moment in TV history. But I love Alice, and then unfortunately, the Kiss My Grits line got old pretty fast, but I did like Polly Holiday as Flo with her wig, and then she had a spinoff show. It only lasted like a season and a half, and the weird thing is they never referred to Flo again after that show failed. They never referred to her, including the last episode. Like, there was a big clip show in the season 9 series finale, and they didn't even show a clip of Flo. And I thought, wow, really? I mean, she was like one of the breakout stars of Alice with her Kiss My Grits and her being so flirtatious with the truckers. And she just was a great Southern character, Texas woman. Yellow Rose of Texas. And that was a great call, Wesley. Yes, Alice, the single mom. And she lived in that one-bedroom apartment, slept on the couch so her son could sleep on a bunk bed or in a bed. So she sacrificed her character a lot for her son. And she should have wound up with a guy. I wish Alice had remarried before Alice ended. That would have been nice. That would have been really nice. And I like Vic Tayback as Mel Sharples. That was just a wonderful character actor. And he was in a Star Trek episode. Season 2, he played a gangster. Oh, what's that one called? A Piece of the Action, Season 2 on Paramount Plus of the original Star Trek, filmed in 1967. And he's in it. And he has that same voice, like it sounds the same as he does in Alice. He looked different, though. He had darker hair. He hadn't gone gray yet. But I like that character, too. He had a vulnerability about him. He had a heart of gold. He acted like he was some tightwad, skinflint, mean boss. You're fired. In fact, he fired the girls a couple times. But then he always took them back. And, he was one of those guys that just kind of, I guess, was a gentle giant. But let's see, any more comments? Oh, on my list, I don't know how I overlooked it. Felicia Rashad as Claire Huxtable on The Cosby Show. Absolutely. And that is on my list. My gosh, how could I leave that out? Cosby Show was a wonderful, wonderful family show. Great role model show. I love for all families. And I really like the episode where Theo gets taught the financial facts of life by his dad playing Monopoly. That's just a classic scene that sticks out in my mind. Early on in the number 1 running show, The Cosby Show, hit the scene, I believe, in 1984 on NBC. And it was like the first must-see TV. I think it aired on Thursday nights on NBC before Seinfeld. Then Seinfeld became the must-see TV. Cheers before that. Cheers, Seinfeld. But man, did I love that show. I did love The Cosby Show. And what happened to him, though? It's so sad, what happened to the real Bill Cosby. I try like Al Hardy. Al Hardy is good at separating politics or crazy things that someone did from their art. And I can't do that. I can't do that so easily. Like with Stephen Collins, I won't go there. He did a terrible thing, cost him his marriage to Faye Grant. And anyway, I met him on the set of The Three Stooges, the remake. I was just working as an extra. But we worked on that set by the governor's mansion. Speaking of Paces Ferry Road earlier with that torn up road, there was a mansion that the production company rented out. And it was 14 days in the heat outside. And I'm wearing a camel hair jacket. And it was brutal. And there's a scene where a little girl falls into a cake and you see me reacting, big deal, right? No delusions here. I was just an extra, but it was a great experience. And I remember a lot of people visited the set, like Billy Bob Thornton, and that huge cake. Oh my God, that cake was humongous for that scene where a girl suspended from a wire, not CGI, and they drop her, the stunt girl, onto the cake, and she goes, "That was awesome." And then I'm totally and trying to intentionally overact like in a real Three Stooges short from back in the day. I do this terrible, stupid face wide open. Anyway, I was really trying to ham it up. And we did a dance scene where I'm dancing like Carlton on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and that got cut. But they filmed a pretty funny little dance scene. But enough about me. But that was a good one, Wesley. God, you were on it today. Speaking of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he mentioned Vivian Banks. Another good call. Vivian Banks was first played by Janet Hubert and then later by Daphne. Oh, these comments are going too quick. Daphne. Right when I was reading them, another one popped up. Jackée Harry as Lisa Landry on Sister Sister. Catherine Hicks, Seventh Heaven. Oh, my brother, that is a great, great pick, and it wasn't on my list. Shame on me. Yeah, Seventh Heaven on, God, that was a long-running show, a great show. And I love Catherine Hicks from Star Trek IV as Jillian, the woman that Captain Kirk should have wound up with. She was from Earth of 1986, a marine biologist, but I digress. Okay, Vivian Banks was first played by Janet Hubert, then later played by Daphne Maxwell Reid, R-E-I-D. Cool. Now, if anybody wants to call in, I'm going to give out the number as we wind things down. The number is 770-438-1050, or just comment on the Facebook page while we're live. If you're listening on fistfulofradio.com, it is Mother's Day weekend. It is a wonderful, hopefully the weather is nice. I record this a week in advance, but it's May 2nd today. Yesterday was my mom's birthday, by the way. Happy birthday, Mom. And we had a good time yesterday. Judy Bartell, she taught school at Soap Creek Elementary, and a lot of people know who she is. She, just going by the awards here, she was a really good teacher, and people love my mom. So I'm so fortunate that Mom's still with us. And anyone out there whose moms are not still with us, I really sympathize, and I hope that you hold those special memories in your heart. And I hope that maybe you can watch your favorite mom movie or TV show to help you remember Mom. Let's see here. The Nostalgic Podblast. Who are you? Where are you calling from? It's Michael again. Hey, Michael.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you that people cannot hear these phone conversations at all.
Oh, dear.
I mean, I can make out what they're saying, but it's not loud. The average person isn't going to be able to hear it.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, good to know. Good to know. All right. Anything else?
No, it's a good show.
Well, thanks for taking the wind out of my sail. You didn't mean. You're just trying to help. I know. I'm just kidding, but a text might have been good.
And I was hoping you were going to look at your phone, and you didn't. So I thought, well, I better tell him before he gets more people to call in.
Well, good grief. Well, that's not good. Well, I'll try to up the audio before I send it to Fistful of Radio, but thanks for letting me know, and I will work on this.
Okay. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Damn. I don't know if you could hear Michael, because Michael called to say, you really can't hear the calls at all. You can understand what people are saying, but it's really low. So I'll work on that. I need to get a mixer and get some real equipment here for the times when Al's busy. Al really wants to do the show every other week. And that's fine. You know, that is absolutely cool. I mean, we're partners 50-50. So, I'm against it. I want to go every week. So the plan is I'm going to do a solo show or a show with a guest. And I have some guests lined up that'll be here with me. When the week's it doesn't feel up to doing a show or has other plans. So that's what we're going to do moving forward. So let's see here. Any other comments before I sign off? Seventh Heaven was on the WB. That's right, Wesley. It was. It was a beloved show, and a lot of talent came out of that show. Justin Timberlake's lovely wife was on that show. So, all right. Well, I guess I'm going to wrap things up, and thanks for tuning in. And, oh, wow. Make sure I didn't leave out a clip here. Awkward silence, awkward silence. So, all right, here's some more moms I may not have mentioned. Kitty Foreman from that 70s show. That was a good one, a good comedic mom. And then you had, oh, yeah, Sophia. I mentioned Peggy Bundy, Elise Keaton. Oh, how about Family Ties, right? That show was okay. I really liked the one with Tom. Oh, what was his name? Tom. Forrest Gump. My God, I'm having a brain toot. Tom. Let me look it up. But he played an alcoholic uncle, and he punched out Michael J. Fox. It was a dramatic episode. Tom Hanks, for goodness sakes. Hello. Where Tom Hanks played the alcoholic uncle. That was a really good Family Ties. That show really sort of jumped the shark when they had Andy. They had that other kid. But that's a good mom. Meredith Baxter Burney, who had been on Family. That was another decent show. And, I got another quick story about a TV mom. 8 is Enough, and this is pretty tragic, a real-life tragedy. In 8 is Enough, Diana Hyland played the original mom, like in the first season. At the time, she was romantically involved with John Travolta. And she had cancer, sadly. And she was a lovely blonde. And she died, supposedly, according to John Travolta, in his arms in the late 70s, I think in 1977. So another fun fact about 8 is Enough is the oldest boy was played by Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill in the pilot or first episode of 8 is Enough. He played David Bradford. That was Mark Hamill. And it was before his car accident, so his face looked perfect like he did in the first Star Wars, before his famous car wreck where he was slightly disfigured and he had multiple plastic surgeries and he never quite looked the same. But he looked like he looked like Luke Skywalker in the pilot to 8 is Enough. So what happened in season 2, eventually Abby came along, who was the love interest of Dick Van Patten's character, the dad. But there was a really moving show, a Christmas episode. It used to air on TBS almost every Christmas, the 8 is Enough Christmas. It was a, yes, Nicholas, there is a Santa Claus. That's the title. Yes, Nicholas, there is a Santa Claus. And it was like a 2-hour episode that had been cut into, 2 parts for syndication. But it was a very moving show where a Christmas present is found that was hidden in a cabinet from Tommy's deceased mom, and it's to Tommy. And he is just disillusioned. He feels like his mom abandoned him because she passed away. And it was a pretty well-written story, except for the part with Will Greer, Grandpa on the Waltons that we mentioned previously. He robbed that family. He robbed the Bradfords, and then they take him in, bail him out of jail, and invite him to Christmas dinner. How unrealistic is that? Now, I mentioned that in one of our Christmas specials, and Danny said, well, that's the magic of Christmas, Chance. Don't you get it? That's the point. I'm like, yeah, but in reality, they're going to let a thief. Speaking of thief, I might as well tell this story while I have some time. Did you know that I was robbed? I got robbed. About 2 years ago, there was a guy posing as a worker in the neighborhood, and I thought something was sketchy about this guy. My spidey sense started tingling. I went to work, and I thought, something is not right. I think I'll go home for lunch today, which I did. And when I got home, I startled this dude. He was in my house. He was in my home, and he was robbing my comic books. He had a suitcase, my own suitcase, filled with my comic books, and I startled him. And I'm lucky I didn't get shot, and he went out a back window. And the thing he got away with my new pair of Rockport shoes. He left behind his Air Jordans, and they were like new-looking Air Jordans, probably stolen. But he got away with Rockport shoes and a graded comic book. And I'll show you this comic for the camera. Hang on a sec. It's right here, all right? Fantastic Four issue number 7, and it's a graded comic book. So what's significant about a graded comic book is it has a serial number, like a VIN number on a car. And so I called around after I was robbed, and I startled him. I guess all he got away with, he grabbed this and maybe a few comic books. He didn't know what he was after because I looked in my suitcase of my comics, and he had some that were very valuable and some that weren't worth much at all. Easy for me to say. And he got away. But you know what that son of a gun did? Talk about the Goldilocks syndrome and the 3 little bears. This son of a bitch, excuse my language, family show. This son of a bee, he ate my burrito. And he took a dump in my one of my toilets and didn't flush. It was disgusting. I digress, but I'm still mad. I'm getting mad thinking about this. He ate my burrito. I had a Moe's burrito, one of those big, thick. He just made himself at home. He ate my doggone burrito and just, went through my suitcases, my comic books, and he went through my drawers, everything was just a mess. And so the cops come. And I said, I think I have some DNA for you. And I point to the toilet and said, look, I don't think he could. I hope he couldn't figure out how to flush. And he wasn't just so bold as to be like, I violated you. I violated your home. I'm going to violate your toilet too. But I have there's a button on top of the toilet. And I think maybe he's looking for a handle. I don't know. Who knows, right? But I said, do you want this DNA? And they're like, no, we're good. They didn't. I thought, all right, there might be something on there. They never caught the guy. They did dust for prints. But the guy got away. I guess I'm lucky I didn't get shot. And I'm really glad I got this comic book back. And, I called around, and sure enough, one of the comic shops that I would shop at said, Chance, your comic turned up. And when I got there, I'm not going to mention names, they tried to charge me what they paid him to get my comic back. And I had a police officer there in DeKalb County, Georgia. I live in Cobb. But because it was across state lines, I had to contact the DeKalb County Police, which I did. And the cop says, no, you can't charge him for his stuff. Now, if he wants to give you a little reward, that's fine. So I did. And then they act like they're so destitute. They're like, well, I guess we won't be eating dinner tonight. And so I wound up giving them $20 to get a pizza or something. But, so I got my comic back. But a really cool story. There's a guy named Brett Barney. He's a radio guy. I'm sorry, I'll get back on the nostalgia in a sec. Such a nice thing this guy did. His father had just passed away, and he noticed he had new Rockport shoes. And I told him the story I just shared with y'all about me getting robbed. And he said, Chance, I want you to have these. And I said, I can't accept your dad's shoes. And he says, no, you might as well just take them. And I thought that was the sweetest thing anybody's ever done for me, Brett Barney. He gave me his dad's Rockport shoes to make up for the ones that the thief got away with, along with that comic I recovered. So could have been worse, but I'm just glad I went home and startled that son of a gun. Oh, more comments back on track with our topic of good moms and some bad moms. Candace Bergden as Murphy Brown and Murphy Brown. She was a single mom. Yes, she was. I have a lot of respect for single moms. That's tough. That's got to be tough. Not that I know from personal experience, but man, to raise kids and have a job and just what a juggling act that is. But I think families need a man. There's a place for a man in every family. Lucille Ball. And I like the one that Barry called in about, and Alan commented about Marion Cunningham. That was a good one from Happy Days, Mrs. C. Yeah, and then we talked about Florence Henderson. So, Wesley, you are on fire today. Anne Marie Johnson as Miss Tibbs on In the Heat of the Night. That's another good one. And she was on What's Happening Now. That was a cast member of the revival of What's Happening that we mentioned previously. I love Mabel King. She was in The Jerk. Remember The Jerk, Steve Martin? She played his mom, and she was doing What's Happening at the time. And she was only on the first 2 seasons of What's Happening. But I love Mabel King. And as Mabel Thomas, she was a great character and a great TV mom for sure. Amy Carlson as Linda Reagan. Also on Blue Bloods. Yes. Tia Leone as Elizabeth Best McCord on Madam Secretary. Yep. Tia is pronounced T, like UH. Yep. Got it. That is great. I love these comments. You're a big help as I fly solo here, as I struggle. And you hear me pause when I'm looking around for a prop like that Please Don't Hit Me Mom, Patty Duke television movie. I think it's on YouTube. It traumatized me as a kid. Look it up. Please Don't Hit Me, Mom. And it stars Sean Astin, her real-life son. Did you know that? Sean Astin is Patty Duke's son. And for years, the media said that his dad was the original Gomez Addams. Okay? John Astin. But Sean Astin had a DNA test done, and it turns out it was Michael Tell. I said his name was William Tell in the previous Podblast. I got confused with the William Tell overture. Michael Tell. Patty Duke, in her own autobiography, Call Me Anna, which is her real name, Anna Marie Duke, she suffered from bipolar disorder. And in a bipolar, according to her book, which I read, according to a bipolar episode, or due to a bipolar episode, she married a guy she was subletting her apartment to. And she got pregnant. And along came Sean Astin. Rudy, best known as Rudy. Great film. Rudy with Sean Astin. And, of course, the Lord of the Rings movies. I know Al Hardy's been watching the Lord of the Rings movies on his brand new movie screen and his brand new projector, his brand new Hardy Vision. So let's see. Boy, am I a motor mouth or what? And believe me, I don't do this through ego by myself. I really just want to stay in front of the audience, people like Wesley that expect us to do a show every Sunday at 3:30 Atlanta time. You know, I mean, nothing wrong with taking a break, but and it being Mother's Day weekend, there's no way I wouldn't do a tribute to moms for Mother's Day weekend here on fistfulofradio.com and live the weekend before. So that's why I'm doing this. It's not an ego thing, and I can't watch myself. When I watch the Podblast, it's when Al or Tom or a guest is on it. I like the clips. The clips are what make this show great, and I've got to figure out a way to do a better job with clips and phone calls, apparently, according to Michael Hopkins, to get you some decent audio. So I'm going to get on that for the times when I don't have access to the fabulous Al Hardy studio. Let's see. Any more comments here? Well, I hope the weather's good for you out there. I'm gonna call it a day, and I hope that you just have a wonderful celebration of your mom. And again, remember your mom. If your mom's no longer with us, I'm sure you have wonderful memories, and I hope that you're not depressed today. I hope that you just think of the happy times and think of all the joy and the good days. That's what this show's about, remembering the good days. So I'm Chance Bartels. We'll be back with another good topic. I want to explore African-American cinema and TV shows. I think that's a great topic, and I'm excited about it, and I hope it's okay for me to talk about it. I don't see why it would be an issue because there's so many that I love. The Eddie Murphy movies, the Richard Pryor movies, of course, Richard Roundtree. What a talent he is. I mean, going way back, and the evolution of the African-American actor. And I don't even think the Eddie Murphy movies are necessarily African-American movies. They're movies for everybody, for goodness sakes. But he was just such a great talent. There's even Best Defense, which was supposedly the worst Eddie Murphy movie when he was on a roll, like in the 80s, like before Coming to America, right around the time, I guess Trading Places, he really bounced back strong from Best Defense with Trading Places in 1983. But Eddie Murphy's one of my favorite talents, and we're going to talk about him and some other movies that, and also, we're going to talk about duos, comedy duos come up. I don't want to give away too many of the topics, but I have a whole list of topics that we'll cover, preferably with the Wizard Al Hardy. We'll see. So I'm going to sign off. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you'll be back next Sunday for the Nostalgic Podblast. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to do some giveaways really soon for some DVDs. I'm going to give away every episode ever made of Lost in Space on DVD. Every episode ever made. That's 83 episodes, including the unaired pilot. And I'm going to have a trivia question next time to launch that. And I'm going to give away some Fall Guy stuff as well. Probably not as much interest in the Fall Guy as there is Lost in Space. But anyone that has kids out there, you might want to introduce Lost in Space to your kids, even though it's a pretty silly show. Towards the end, it got really bad. Really silly, really corny, really campy. But the original ones in black and white were great entertainment. So we're going to do that. So I'm Chance Bartels. Go to fistfulofradio.com to see our past shows. Go to YouTube, The Nostalgic with a C Podblast on YouTube. TheNostalgicPodblast.com, which is under construction. And in our Facebook group, The Nostalgic Podblast, which is where you can see us live most Sundays. Going to be every Sunday at 3:30. Happy Mother's Day, and happy Mother's Day to my lovely mom, Judy. I hope you had a great day, and I can't wait to see you again soon for lunch. Love you, Mom. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. Thanks for tuning in. I hope I wasn't too dull.